Hi, welcome to Bluefx.net, and thank you for buying this last template called Unlimited One. Keeping in mind your needs to have a really scalable template to show all the image, footage, text, or title as you want, we developed this project, which is at the same time one of the easier and faster to customize. My name is Marcelo Cabral, and I'm here to show you how to make it in the most efficient way. So let's move on. In the delivery folder that you receive, you will find these 4 projects. Each one of them corresponds a different color setup. For the purpose of this tutorial, I will use this one. So open it by double-click. Okay, here we are. Let me show you what you will find in the project manager. This is the 00 timeline composition, which is already opened. The 00 you change folder contains all the composition related with sections, text, transitions, backgrounds, and your logo. All these compositions are 30 minutes long, and these other compositions are 1 hour long. I will explain to you indeed how to use all these compositions just a little bit forward. The other comps folder contains all the compositions used to build this project, and they are not customizable. The other resolution folder contains the same 00 timeline composition, but in all these different resolutions. As I told you, this template is fully scalable, which means you can make a video presentation with any time layout by easily controlling the time layout of these compositions. Let me show you. We will use this 00 timeline composition as our master edition timeline. As you see, this composition has 1 hour of duration. I have already placed all this composition in the timeline just to show you how all this works. This first composition is the opening text 01, which has this in and out animation. This other is the background logo, which has this opening text animation. Over this composition, you can place the container composition, which contains this description text and the video placeholder. You can complement this one with a header text and a footer text composition. And finally, a closing text composition. This is one of the thousands of configurations that you can make. Your imagination is the limit. Okay, now, as an example, I will make my own edition using all this composition and changing the timing of each one of them. So I will delete all these layers. First of all, we need to establish some rules to avoid complication and misunderstandings. As you see, you only have one of each composition that you will use in the timeline. To add all the text and all the image or video containers as you want, you have to make duplicates of this composition. But all the duplicates must be made inside these folders, never in the timeline. Okay, now let's make our own edition. I will place first the background composition in my master timeline. So drag this composition to the timeline. If you need to modify the colors of this background layer, just open it. And select this background color layer, and in the fill effect, choose a different color. Let me show you. Okay, done. Now it's time to add some text. In the 0 text folder, you have the opening text 01 composition. Select this composition and drag it to the timeline. As you see, this composition has an in animation. To set up the out animation, I only need to move the indicator in the point of time where you want the text disappears. For example, here. Okay, now open the composition from the You Change folder. And without moving the indicator, move this adjustable mark some frames before the indicator till the text disappears completely. Never move the first one. So this way we have our second rule. Never move the first mark of the yellow layers. Now you can edit the text using the text layer. I will retype a new one here. And the color using the fill effect of this color control layer. Now let's go back to the timeline composition. Move the indicator forward till the text disappears completely. And split the layer at this point. I will delete this part just to keep this project organized. To add a new opening text, just duplicate the opening text 01 in the project manager and repeat the process to modify the composition. Let me show you. Okay, done. So to add more opening text to this timeline, just make a new duplicate of this composition and drag it to the timeline. Now I will add our logo to the logo composition. You will find the Your Logo composition already applied in the description composition and in the background logo. You just need to add your logo to the Your Logo composition to modify both compositions in once. So open the Your Logo composition and drag your logo file to the timeline. Let me show you. I have the Bluefx logo right here. And I will drag it to the composition. And I will make some little adjustments. Done. Let's go back to the timeline composition. Now let's add the background logo to the master timeline. As an example, I want the logo appears after this text. As you see, the background logo has a blinking animation for the ink. I will set up the out animation a little bit later as soon as I finish the edition. Now it's time to add a container. Let's drag the container 01 at this point of the timeline. And open it by double-click. The container composition 01 has these two pink layers. The description 01 composition, which is this text box, and the video 01 composition, which is this other box. You can switch the position of this layer. Let me show you. Now to modify this text, I will modify the description 01 composition. To do that, just open it by double-click. Now let's modify the title. And this text. Now use the color control layer to modify the shape color. Let me show you. Okay, done. I will close this composition and I will go back to the container 01 composition. Now I have to modify this one by adding an image or video inside this composition. To do that, open the video 01 composition and drag your video or image file to the timeline. Let me show you. I have a video right here and I will drag it to the timeline. And I will make a little addition. Done. We recommend to you to trim the time layer of this composition to the time layer of the video layer. Done. Let's go back to the container 01 composition. As you see, the video layer has a different layer. So move the indicator at the out point of the video layer. And then, without move the indicator, move these two adjustable marks till the video disappears completely. To make this composition some different from the others, you have two ways. You have this 3D control layer. This layer has an effect which allows you to make a rotation in the y-axis of the container. Even you can play around with some keyframes to improve the animation. Let me show you. I will make a keyframe here after this animation, and I will make another one with a different angle right here. Now I will copy this one to paste it here, and this one to paste it here. Done. Let's see how this looks. The other way is changing this transition layer for another transition that you have here in the transition folder. In this case, the transition 02 is already applied. To replace it for one of these, just select the transition layer in the timeline and select a different transition in the project manager. Then, holding the Alt key of your keyboard, drag this composition over this one, and it will be replaced automatically. Okay, done. Let's go back to the timeline composition and split the container composition after the out animation. Now, let's add a header text and a footer text above and below this container. First, I will drag the header text composition. Let's suppose that I want the text appears some frames after the in point of the container composition, and this appears some few frames before the out point of the same composition. To do that, I will move the layer some frames after the in point of the container composition. And I will move the indicator in the point I want the text disappears. Like this one. Now open the header 01 composition. And without move the indicator, move this adjustable mark some frames before the indicator till the text disappears completely. Now, let's modify the text. Done. Let's go back to the timeline composition and split the layer after the out animation. Now the process to modify the footer 01 composition is quite the same, so I will show you all the process again. Okay, done. As you saw, this one was easy because all the 01 compositions are already included inside. But what if I need to add a new container composition? First of all, let's make a duplicate of this container 01 composition in the project manager and drag it to the timeline. Then open it. As you see, the description 01 and the video 01 composition are still here, and we need new ones for both because we want to show a different text box and a different video. So, in the project manager, I have to make a duplicate of this description 01 composition and of the video 01 composition. Now, let's modify this composition in the same way as I showed you before. Let's start with the Video 02 composition. Now, let's modify the description 02 composition. Now, I will show you how to add this composition inside the Container 02 composition. Once you are inside, select the Description 01 layer. Then, from the Project Manager, select the Description 02 composition. Now, holding the Alt key of your keyboard, drag it over this one. And it will be replaced automatically, as I've shown you before. So this way, we have our third rule. Each container composition must contain the same composition number. This means that the Container 02 has to contain the Description 02 and the Video 02 composition as well. Make the same to add the Video 02 to the composition. Now, to add a header and a footer text, make the duplicates of this composition in the Project Manager. And modify this composition as I shown you before. Let's do it. After the container composition, I will close the logo animation. So move the indicator over the point of the timeline when you want the logo disappears and open the background logo composition. Now, without move the indicator, move the adjustable max till the logo disappears. Let's see how this looks in the 00 timeline composition. Now, split the layer again. Done. Now it's time to add some closing text to finish the edition. I will add 2 of these compositions, so I will make a duplicate of this closing text 01. And I will modify both compositions. Now I will add the closing text 01. And I will set up the out animation as I shown you before. I will make the same with the closing text 02. Let's suppose that I already finished my edition, and I have all this time empty here. So I will move here the out point of the work area bar. and I will trim the composition. Now this project is done. And as you see, this project is a simple one with 2 containers and some text. But you can add all the containers you want and all the text you want, just making the process step by step as I showed you before. Take care about the 3 main rules. Never make duplicates in the timeline. Never move the first mark of the yellow layers, and be sure all the containers contain the same number extension of the video and description text composition. Now you know all that you need to customize this project by your own. If you have any question about this template, please feel free to contact our support team at bluefx.net. My name is Marcelo Cabran, and I hope to see you again in the next tutorial. Bye.